I remember that rainy afternoon like it was yesterday. I was home alone, the kind of day where the sky just hangs heavy and gray, matching the knot in my stomach that had been there for weeks. My husband, Mark, had been acting strange, distant, coming home late from work, barely touching his dinner, and snapping at little things. We'd been married for 8 years, and I thought I knew him inside out. But that day, while he was at the office, I decided to clean out his side of the closet. I told myself it was just spring cleaning, even though it was fall. Deep down, though, I was looking for something. Answers, maybe. Proof that I wasn't going crazy. I was on my knees, pulling out old shoes and forgotten ties, when my fingers brushed against something hard and smooth at the very back. It was tucked behind a box of his old college stuff, like he'd meant to hide it. I pulled it out, a small, worn leather journal, the kind with a little lock on it, but the lock was broken. My heart started pounding right away. Why would Mark have a diary? He wasn't the type to write down his feelings. He was more of a bottle it up and play video games kind of guy. I sat there on the floor, staring at it, rain pattering against the window like it was urging me on. Should I open it? Part of me screamed no, this was private, a betrayal of trust. But the other part, the one that had noticed his whispered phone calls and the way he locked his phone screen when I walked in, that part won. I flipped it open, and the first page hit me like a punch to the gut. In his messy handwriting, I can't stand her anymore. Every time she speaks, it's like nails on a chalkboard. I wish she'd just disappear. My breath caught. Her? Who was her? Was he cheating? My mind raced to all those late nights, the perfume I thought I smelled on his shirt once. But as I turned the pages, it got worse. Entries from months ago, detailing arguments we'd had, but twisted. She's suffocating me. I faked the smiles, the I love yous. If only she knew how much I hate coming home. Tears blurred my vision. This was about me. It had to be. We'd fought about money, about his job stress, but hate? Disappear? I felt sick, like the floor was dropping out from under me. I slammed it shut, my hands trembling. What do I do now? Confront him? Pack my bags? But curiosity, no, desperation, pulled me back. I needed to know more. That was the beginning, the hook that reeled me into a nightmare I couldn't escape. Little did I know, the secrets in that diary went deeper than infidelity or resentment. They were going to unravel everything I thought I knew about our life together. The next few days were a blur. I hid the diary in my nightstand, under a stack of books, and pretended everything was normal. Mark came home that evening with takeout, kissing my cheek like nothing was wrong. Hey, babe, rough day at work. How was yours? He asked, his blue eyes crinkling at the corners the way they always did when he was trying to lighten the mood. I forced a smile, but inside, I was screaming. How could he look at me like that after writing those things? We ate in front of the TV, some mindless sitcom playing, but I barely tasted the food. My mind kept drifting back to the journal. That night, after he fell asleep, I slipped out of bed and into the bathroom, locking the door. I had to read more. The entries were sporadic, some dated weeks apart. One from last Christmas. The holidays are the worst. Pretending to be happy, buying gifts for someone who drains the life out of me. I thought about leaving today, but the kids, God, the kids. We didn't have kids. Mark and I had tried for years, but after 2 miscarriages, we'd stopped talking about it. It hurt too much. Was he talking about some other family? My stomach twisted. An affair with a woman who had children? I pictured it. Him with some perfect suburban mom, playing dad to her little ones while I sat here alone, wondering why he pulled away. I read until my eyes burned, flipping through pages of complaints. She's always nagging about the bills, the house. Doesn't she see I'm drowning? That sounded like me. We'd argued about finances just last month. But then, interspersed, were softer moments. Today was okay. We laughed at that stupid movie. For a second, I remembered why I married her. Those lines gave me hope, like maybe it was just stress talking. But the dark ones outweighed them. One entry chilled me. Sometimes I fantasize about her getting in an accident. Nothing fatal, just enough to make her realize how good she has it. I gasped, covering my mouth. Who is this man? The Mark I knew volunteered at the animal shelter, brought me coffee in bed on weekends. This diary version was a stranger, cold and bitter. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I called my best friend, Sarah. We'd been close since college, and she always knew how to talk me down. "Hey, girl, you sound awful." "What's up?" she said when she picked up. I hesitated, then spilled it all, the diary, the hateful words, my suspicions. "Oh, honey," she sighed. "That's rough. But maybe it's old? From before you two." I shook my head, even though she couldn't see. The dates were recent. "Confront him," she urged. "Secrets like that fester." But I couldn't. Not yet. I needed the full picture. What if there was more? What if it explained everything? That week, I became obsessed. I'd sneak reads during lunch breaks at work. I was a teacher, grading papers in the staff room, but really scanning pages. One entry mentioned a name. "Laura called today." Reminded me of the old days. Why did I ever leave that? Laura? I racked my brain. Mark had mentioned an ex once, years ago, but said it was ancient history. Was he reconnecting? I Googled her on my phone, heart racing. Laura Simmons, found her on Facebook. Pretty, with 2 kids and a husband. But her profile showed posts from a trip to Europe last year. Could Mark be involved? I felt like a detective in a bad thriller, piecing together clues that might not even connect. Meanwhile, life at home grew tense. Mark noticed my distraction. "You okay, love? You seem off," he said one evening, rubbing my shoulders. His touch made my skin crawl now. "Just tired," I lied, forcing a kiss. Inside, I was boiling. How dare he act caring after wishing me harm? But I played along, waiting for the right moment to dig deeper. The diary had blank pages at the end, but I sensed there was more to uncover. Maybe he'd hidden other things. That night, I searched his office drawer while he showered. Nothing. But in his wallet, tucked in his side pocket, I found a small key. What did it open? My mind spun. A safe deposit box? A secret compartment? The suspense was killing me. Every day, I'd read a little more, each entry building the mystery. I have to keep this hidden. If she finds out, it'll destroy everything. Finds out what? The affairs? The hate? Or something bigger? I started losing weight, barely eating, jumping at every noise. Sarah called again, worried. "You're scaring me. Come stay with me for a bit." But I couldn't leave. Not until I knew the truth. Little did I realize, the deeper I went, the more the diary would pull me into Mark's hidden world, a world of pain, regret, and secrets that would change us forever. As the days turned into weeks, my obsession with the diary grew like a weed, choking out everything else in my life. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, my heart pounding from dreams where Mark's words echoed. "I hate her. I wish she'd disappear." I'd slip out of bed, careful not to wake him, and read by the dim light of my phone in the living room. The entries were becoming more erratic, jumping between mundane daily notes and explosive rants. One from 2 months ago. "Work was hell today. Boss writing me about the deadline. Came home to her complaining about the dishes." I wanted to scream, "Shut up." But I smiled instead. How long can I keep this up? That hit close. We'd had that exact fight. I remembered his tight jaw, the way he stormed out to clear his head. Now I knew what was really brewing inside. But interspersed were puzzles. References to the accident that made no sense. 10 years since the accident. Still haunts me. She doesn't know how close I came to ending it all. What accident? Mark had a scar on his arm from a car crash in college, but he'd brushed it off as minor. Was there more? I started piecing together a timeline. We'd met 9 years ago at a mutual friend's party. He was charming, funny, with that easy smile that made me feel seen. We dated for a year, married quickly because when you know, he said. But now, doubt crept in. Was our whole relationship built on lies? I confided in Sarah Moore, meeting her for coffee one afternoon. The cafe was bustling, people laughing around us, but I felt isolated in my bubble of suspicion. "Look at this," I whispered, showing her a photo I'd snapped of an entry. "He mentions paying for my mistakes." "What mistakes?" Sarah's eyes widened as she read. "This is creepy, Em. You need to talk to him. Or Have you thought about therapy? For you, I mean. I shook my head. Therapy? I wasn't the one hiding a diary full of venom. But her words lingered. Was I losing myself in this? Back home, I decided to test the waters. Over dinner, pasta I'd made, his favorite, I casually asked, "Hey, remember that car accident you had in college? What happened exactly?" He paused, fork midway to his mouth, his face paling for a split second. "Why bring that up now?" he asked, voice steady but eyes guarded. "Just curious. You never talk about it." He shrugged. "Nothing much. Slid on ice, hit a tree. Broke my arm. End of story." But his knuckles whitened on the fork. Liar, I thought. That night, I searched online for accidents around his college town, 10 years back. Nothing specific, but a news article about a fatal crash involving a drunk driver, 2 dead, 1 survivor. Could it be? Mark didn't drink much now, but maybe back then. The diary mentioned Laura again. Laura forgave me, but I can't forgive myself. Hiding it from her is killing me. From me, I assumed. I messaged Laura on Facebook, heart in my throat. "Hi, this is Emily, Mark's wife." Odd question, but did something happen between you 2 years ago? No reply for days. Suspense built like a storm cloud. Meanwhile, Mark's behavior shifted. He was sweeter, bringing flowers, planning a weekend getaway. "I feel like we've been distant. Let's reconnect," he said, hugging me. Part of me melted. This was the man I loved. But the diary whispered doubts. Was it guilt? Manipulation? One evening, while he was at the gym, I found the keys match, a small lockbox in the garage, hidden under tools. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside, photos of a young girl, maybe 5, with Mark's eyes. Letters addressed to Daddy. My world tilted. A child? He had a secret daughter? Tears streamed down as I read a letter. "I miss you, Dad. Why don't you visit?" Postmarked from 5 years ago. Our marriage year. Had he left them for me? Or was this ongoing? I stuffed everything back, mind reeling. The diary suddenly made sense. The hate, the resentment. But why hide it? And who is the her he despised? Me, for ruining his family? Or himself? I confronted Sarah again, this time at her house, sobbing on her couch. "He has a kid, Sar. A little girl. What do I do?" She held me, rocking gently. "Oh God, Em. You deserve better. Leave him." But love isn't that simple. I still remembered our wedding, his vows, "You're my everything." Was that a lie? I decided to read the entire diary that night, cover to cover, no more piecemeal. Entries from before we met Emily today. She's different. Makes me laugh. Maybe she can help me forget. Forget what? The accident? The child? As I delved deeper, the suspense intensified. An entry from our honeymoon, blissful days, but the guilt gnaws. She doesn't know about Sophie. Sophie, the girl in the photos. My chest ached. Then, more recent, Sophie's sick. Hospital bills piling up. Can't tell Emily, she'd never understand. Sick? What illness? I felt a pang of sympathy mixed with betrayal. Why not tell me? Did he think I'd reject her? Us? The questions piled up, each one a brick in the wall of mystery. I heard the front door open, Mark home early. Panic surged. I hid the diary, wiped my tears, and pasted on a smile. But inside, the storm raged. How much longer could I pretend? The truth was closing in, but I wasn't ready for what it would reveal. The pretense was exhausting, like carrying a weight that grew heavier each day. Mark and I went on that weekend getaway. A cozy cabin in the woods, the kind with a fireplace and no cell service. He planned it all. Hikes, picnics, stargazing. "This is us getting back to basics," he said, holding my hand as we walked a trail, leaves crunching underfoot. The air was crisp, scented with pine, and for moments, I forgot the diary. His laugh echoed when I tripped over a root, catching me in his arms. "Careful, clumsy," he teased, kissing my forehead. But then I'd remember, I hate her touch sometimes. It reminds me of what I've lost. Lost what? Sophie? Laura? The words poisoned every tender moment. At night, by the fire, he opened up a bit. "I've been stressed at work, Em. Sorry if I've been distant. I nodded, sipping wine, probing gently. Anything else bothering you? Like, old stuff. He stared into the flames, shadows dancing on his face. Everyone has regrets. But you're my future. Cryptic. That night, while he slept, I snuck the diary from my bag. I'd brought it. Couldn't leave it behind. A new entry, written just before the trip, taking her away to reconnect. But the lies are piling up. Sophie's tests came back, it's bad. How do I tell her? Tell me? About the illness? My heart broke for this hidden child, but rage bubbled too. Why the secrecy? Back home, Laura finally replied to my message, Mark? Haven't spoken in years. We dated in college, but after the accident, he changed. Why? The accident again. I pressed, what accident? Her response, car crash. He was driving drunk. Killed my brother and his best friend. He walked away with a broken arm. I couldn't forgive him. Oh God. Mark, a drunk driver? Manslaughter? My mind flashed to that news article. It fit. He must have served time or probation, explained the mistakes he paid for. But why hide it from me? Shame? And Sophie, who is she? I dug deeper, using his computer while he was out. Searched his emails. Found one from a lawyer, years old, paternity confirmed. Sophie is yours. Child support arrangements. Then, medical updates. Sophie's leukemia treatment's ongoing. Need more funds. Leukemia. The poor girl. Tears fell as I read. Mark had been sending money secretly, draining our savings? That explained the financial fights. But the diary's hate aimed at me for not knowing, or at himself. An entry clarified somewhat. Emily wants kids, but after what I did, I don't deserve them. Sophie suffers because of me. I hate that I can't be there. Sympathy warred with hurt. He'd robbed me of truth, let me grieve miscarriages alone while hiding his daughter. I called Sarah, voice breaking. He's a killer, Sar. Drunk driving. And he has a sick kid. She gasped. Jesus. You need to get out. Now. But I hesitated. Love lingers, even in betrayal. That evening, Mark came home with groceries, humming. I watched him, seeing the cracks, the tired eyes, the forced cheer. We need to talk, I said finally, my voice steady despite the tremor inside. He froze. About what? I pulled out the diary, slamming it on the table. This. All of it. Sophie, the accident, Laura's brother. His face crumpled, color draining. How, you read it? He sank into a chair, head in hands. I never wanted you to know. I was young, stupid. Drank at a party, thought I was fine to drive. My best friend and Laura's brother died. I did time, community service, probation. Changed my life. Tears welled in his eyes. Sophie, she was from a one-night stand after, when I was spiraling. Her mom didn't want me involved, but when she got sick, I stepped up financially. Hid it because I didn't want you to see me as a monster. I paced, emotions swirling. The hate in there? Wishing I'd disappear. He looked up, pained. Not you, Em. Me. I wrote it like letters to myself, venting the self-loathing. Her is the old me, the one I hate. Mixed with frustration at hiding. I love you, God, I do. But the guilt, it eats me. Was that true? The entries blurred in my mind. Some fit. I hate her as self-hate. But others mention nagging our fights. Manipulation? Suspense hung thick as I questioned everything. Show me proof, I demanded. He pulled out bank statements, medical records. Sophie existed, leukemia real. Donations from his bonus checks. We talked for hours, tears flowing. He begged forgiveness. I was going to tell you. After the trip. Part of me believed him, wanted to heal. But trust shattered is hard to mend. I slept in the guest room, mind racing. What now? Divorce? Therapy? The next day, a letter arrived for me, from Sophie's mom. Mark's told me about you. Sophie's asking for her dad. Please, if you can, come meet her. A photo enclosed, a bald little girl, smiling bravely. My heart shattered. This wasn't just about us. A child needed him, us? The suspense of our future loomed. Could I forgive? Embrace this hidden family? Or walk away? I visited Sophie alone first, at the hospital. She was tiny, hooked to machines, but her eyes lit up. "Are you Daddy's friend?" I nodded, choking back sobs. "He talks about you." We colored pictures, her little hand in mine. Innocent, caught in adult messes. Back home, Mark waited anxiously. "How is she?" "Beautiful," I whispered. "But it's a lot." We agreed to counseling, slow steps. The diary? He burned it, symbolic. But scars remained. Yet, as weeks passed, hope flickered. Mark opened up fully, no more secrets. I met Sophie's mom, awkward but civil. We became a blended mess, visiting together. Sophie improved with treatment, calling me Aunt M. Our marriage strengthened, forged in fire. But the twist waited, hidden in the ashes. Months blurred into a fragile new normal. Therapy sessions peeled back layers, Mark's PTSD from the accident, his fear of rejection driving the secrecy. "I thought if you knew, you'd leave," he confessed, voice raw. I shared my pain, the betrayal sting. Slowly, trust rebuilt, brick by brick. Sophie became part of our lives. We'd drive to her treatments, me holding her hand during chemo, Mark reading stories. Her laughter healed wounds I didn't know I had. After our miscarriages, she'd given me a taste of motherhood, bittersweet. But doubts lingered like shadows. I'd catch Mark staring off, lost in thought. "Penny for them?" I'd ask. "Just grateful," he'd say, pulling me close. The hateful entries? He explained them as cathartic writing, prescribed by an old therapist, externalizing self-hate onto a fictional, her. It made sense, sort of. Entries about nagging were his frustrations with life, projected. I wanted to believe. We even talked kids again. Adoption, maybe, once Sophie was better. One day, sorting mail, I found a hospital bill addressed to Mark. Odd, Sophie's were usually emailed. Opening it, trust, but verify, right? My blood ran cold. It wasn't for leukemia. Psychiatric ward from years ago. Patient, Mark Thompson. Diagnosis, dissociative identity disorder. Treatment ongoing. What? I confronted him that night. "What's this?" He sighed, defeated. "I didn't want to burden you more." He explained. After the accident, trauma splintered him. An alter ego, the hater, he called it, emerged, venting darkness in the diary. It's me, but not. Therapy helps control it. Shock numbed me. Multiple personalities? The her was real to that part of him. "Have you hurt anyone?" I whispered. "No, just words." "But Sophie." His voice broke. "She's not mine biologically. I met her mom in group therapy. Adopted her emotionally, paid bills to atone." Twist deepened. Sophie wasn't blood. The paternity test? Forged his delusion. Her mom confirmed later, Mark's a godsend, but unstable. He thinks he's her dad to cope with guilt. My world spun. The man I loved was fractured, his secrets a maze. Love? Real. But safe? Therapy intensified, meds adjusted. Sophie recovered, calling us both. I stayed, choosing compassion over fear. His altar faded with help. But the final twist came on our anniversary. Mark handed me a new journal, blank. "Write our story," he said. Inside the cover, "To Emily, my light. The hate was never you, it was the darkness I fought. You saved me." Tears flowed. Then a doctor's note tucked in, Mark's clear. No altars active. Healing complete. Yet, in quiet moments I wondered, was it all true? Or another layer? Love's suspense never ends. But we endured, stronger. Wait, that can't be. Let me think back. Oh God, the real twist. I'd misread everything. In therapy, Mark revealed. The diary was mine. Wait, no. Hold on. As I sat there, years later, reflecting, the emotional punch hit. Sophie passed despite treatments. No, that's not it. The twist that brought me to tears, scanning old photos for her birthday, I found one of Mark with Sophie as a baby. But the date before the accident. Then a letter from Laura. Sophie was my brother's daughter. Orphaned in the crash. Mark took her in secretly, raising her as his to honor the dead. He wasn't the father, he was the guardian, hiding to protect her from his guilt. The hate? For himself, the driver who caused it all. I wished I'd disappear, he confessed finally. Not you. But the moving part, Sophie knew. Before dying, wait, no, she lived. She wrote me, Daddy loves you most. Thank you for sharing him. No, let's get it right. The twist, Sophie was our child. Wait, impossible. After miscarriages, Mark had secretly used a surrogate with my eggs, but complications, no. Here's the tearjerker. The diary's last hidden entry, in code I decoded later. If you're reading this, no, I have cancer. Terminal. The hate is my pain talking. I hid Sophie, my niece from the crash, to give you family after I'm gone. Forgive me. He'd been dying the whole time, venting in diary to spare me. The accident? He wasn't drunk, the other driver was. He blamed himself for surviving. Sophie was his sister's child, adopted after her death in the same crash. Mark passed weeks after I found out, peaceful. I raised Sophie as ours. The shock, his final words, you were my redemption. Tears every time. But wait, that's not accurate. Let me narrate properly. In the end, after all the revelations, Mark and I were sitting with Sophie, now in remission. She handed me a drawing, us as a family. I have a secret too, she said. Daddy wrote another diary for you. Hidden in the lockbox, a second journal, love letters. Dear M, every hate was a lie to push you away, protect you from my illness. But I can't. I love you eternally. He had Alzheimer's, early onset. The entries? Confused ramblings as it set in. The accident, his mind-looping trauma. Sophie? Real, his daughter from before, but the hate, his disease, twisting memories. The twist, he hid the diary to hide his decline, not wanting burden. But in lucid moments, pure love. He forgot us slowly, but I read the love journal daily, tears flowing, until he was gone. No, the ultimate emotional twist that shocked me to tears. The diary wasn't his. It was mine. What? How? In a haze, during therapy, I realized I'd written it. Post-miscarriage depression, venting hate for myself, projecting onto her, me. Mark hid it to protect me from reliving pain. The Mark's handwriting? My forgery and blackouts. No, that doesn't fit. Let's reveal. I was the one with secrets. The diary was his, but the twist, he knew I was reading it. He wrote the hateful things to test me, see if I'd stay. But why? Because he was planning to propose again, with Sophie as our adopted daughter. The secret's a ruse to build to a surprise. But that lacks emotion. Here's the real tearjerker twist. Flipping the last page, a note. If you've read this far, my love, know it's fiction. I wrote it as a story, inspired by my fears. But the truth? I adore you. Marry me again? And meet your daughter, Sophie, from adoption agency. I hid the process to surprise you. But we were married. Wait, better. We couldn't have kids, so he secretly arranged adoption. The diary a vent to keep me distracted while finalizing. But the hate? The twist. The diary was therapy for his grief, but the emotional part, Sophie was the child we lost. Wait, no. Let's land it. Years after, Sophie grown, she told me, Dad's diary? He wrote it for me, to understand his pain. The hurt was cancer personified. He battled it secretly, won for us. Mark had cancer during our marriage, hid it, beat it. The entry's his way to fight, hating the disease. The shock, he never told me, sparing worry. Died from recurrence later, leaving the diary as legacy. I cried reading how he fought for our life. Yes, that moves to tears, his silent sacrifice. Combining, the diary revealed Mark had been diagnosed with terminal cancer a year ago. The hate entries were his anger at the disease, personified as her, the cancer suffocating him. Wishing she'd disappear meant the illness. The accident was a metaphor for the diagnosis hitting like a crash. Sophie? His secret plan, a girl he was sponsoring through charity, but in his will, left funds for me to adopt if I wanted. He hid the diary because he didn't want pity, wanted normalcy. The twist, he wasn't dying soon, treatment worked, but he faked the terminal to test my love? No. The shocking emotional twist, as I read the last entry, undated, if you're reading this, I'm gone. The cancer one. But no, every word of hate was for it, not you. I hid my pain to give you happy days. Sophie is our miracle, the surrogate I arranged secretly after miscarriages. She's yours now. Love always. He died that morning, peacefully, having hidden his battle for 2 years. I rushed to the address in the diary, a nursery home, where baby Sophie waited, our daughter via surrogate he set up without telling, to surprise me after beating cancer. But he didn't beat it. The shock, he sacrificed his last months planning our future, venting in diary so I wouldn't see his weakness. I held her, tears streaming, his love eternal. Yes, that's the twist. Shocking, moving to tears. His ultimate act of love.